in this video, we are going to cover my very first Adepticon experience. I was asked to make this video by people who wanted to know what to expect, and this was my very first convention ever, not just my first Adepticon. So this is a brand new to convention person's perspective on a major convention. So we're going to cover some, tips and tricks, what to expect, what to bring, as far as like crowds go, like what to expect. As well as a segment specifically for women, as I was a woman traveling alone, which is not generally a circumstance some women find themselves in. So, that being said, let's get started. Here we go. Okay, just an overview of my time there, essentially. I got there the first full day, which was a Thursday. The convention started on Wednesday, but it was only for like a half day in the evening. And talking to people there, I heard it was you're gonna wait a while for tickets on that very first opening day for your registration. When I got there on Thursday, it was around 4 o'clock, so later in the day, things have had time to progress. I waited maybe 10 minutes. So if you're looking to skip on the waiting, I recommend getting there Thursday. But again, I didn't talk to that many people on how crazy Wednesday was, so maybe they just hit it at an off time, but I can confirm that the first day I was there, the whole time I was there from, for that day, so like 4 o'clock to the nighttime, it was not crowded at all. It was very, very enjoyable if you don't like crowds, because the vendors hall was totally open, so you get all that, and you don't have to be elbow to elbow with people. The Golden Demon case was open. Now, it's not going to be as full, obviously, because people haven't had time to submit their stuff, but you can still go and look at insane pictures of that, as you can see here. The crowds on Saturday were substantial, but everything else, even like Friday evening, I didn't find them overwhelming. But again, going back to that Thursday point, if you want to avoid crowds but still enjoy most of the ambiance of Adepticon, go on Thursday or whatever the first full day is, essentially. But yeah, it gets pretty crowded in the vendor hall, as well as the gaming arena, if you will. The ballroom is pretty massive. It's very well laid out. You're not like crunched up on someone like you are in like a crowded store, so to speak. So I found it doable, but if you're someone who does have social anxiety that doesn't like any form of crowd, I would recommend just doing the first full day and probably avoiding Saturday, because it was legitimately busy at that point. As far as what I did there, I did kind of a mix of things. I signed up for some painting classes, some more like masterclass, like high tier stuff, and I do want to touch on that, because I did find that some of the classes, even though they're listed as like beginners and intermediate, they were more advanced than expected. And this is coming from someone who paints a lot. So I'm not like art student painter though. So that was different, because, and I'm not knocking the teachers, they know what they're doing. It's just most of the instructors there are art student people, essentially. So there was not really a gap, but almost just like a different like train of thought in painting, which you run into in the higher tier display level painting. It's not base coat, shade coat, highlight. That's fine. I would caution you this: if you are looking at getting into higher tier painting, again, that art student display level painting, I would recommend starting with some of the more advanced classes, but a shorter duration, just because it's a lot of information. And again, it's a different way of doing things. And when you've been going all day, like whether you're gaming, whether you've been shopping, whether you've been traveling, your brain can only take in so much. So if you're going to do those higher tier classes, I would recommend either doing the shorter, like 2.5 to maybe 4 hour ones, or doing them when you're fresh. Like that's what you do that whole day, essentially. I was dumb and tried to do too much. I overloaded my schedule. So that is definitely a significant tip there, is don't overload your schedule. because it's going to make things more hectic. It's going to make things more stressful. I wasn't ever like stressed out, but there was always that like, oh, I got to do this. Oh man, I got to make it to the vendor hall and then back to the thing. So don't overload your schedule. Don't overload your brain. Start easy if this is your first convention, or if you're not used to painting for, 4 hours on end. I generally paint about 2.5 hours each night, if that. That's that we're talking max there. So these classes are taught by people that paint for their profession, therefore they're used to that level. That doesn't overload them. It might not overload you, but just something to keep in mind. Another tip is bring sustenance, bring water, I'll tell you what I brought. I brought these things called Sans bars. I got them on Amazon. They're a little expensive. I think they come to about $4 a piece, but they're meal replacement bars that are actually good for you. And I know that's what they all say, but I did my research, and like all the like health blogs say, hey, there's actual good stuff in this that will keep you full instead of just straight sugar. So I got Sans bars. I think I got like the peanut butter chocolate one, which was actually really good. I was a little dubious because everyone's like, oh, these are great. I'm like, that's what they said about Cliff bars, and they're just kind of meh. But yeah, Sans bars, they're about 430 calories, so they are a meal replacement. I am a woman, therefore it's going to keep me more full longer, as I don't need as many calories as a guy. But I also got Epic bars. There are these really, really good jerky bars that I think are about 250, 230 calories, but they have like a ton of protein in them, also a ton of salt, but that's what the water's for. So I survived on those two meal replacements for most of the time, other than in the evening, because they're small. They're like this big. You can fit them in your pocket, fit them in your gaming bag. Yeah, so I highly recommend investing in some of those. Water was actually available like in the little dispensers at the gaming stations and stuff, like throughout the venue. So I was really impressed with that. You don't have to lug around water everywhere. Some people do bring their own. Some people also bring alcohol, which I did see quite a bit of. There are substantial amounts, I would say, throughout the venue, whether at the hotel or the concessions, which brings me to the concessions. They are expensive. And how expensive? A Red Bull, 1 can of Red Bull, is $6, which is, I get it, it's a convention, it's concession stands, it's to be expected. But that's how expensive they are. That's more expensive than a 4-pack of Red Bull, but gotta get your caffeine. So heads up, if you want concessions, you're gonna pay for them. So yeah, bring meal replacements, bring lots of stuff to stay hydrated. And I also survived on Uber Eats. They delivered like no problem to the convention center. Like, I think the most I had to wait was like maybe, plan it out on obviously Friday and Saturday night. It's going to be a little longer. I might have had to wait like 30 minutes, but most things were like that if you just wanted to stay at the convention center and not drive around. As far as accommodations, I did not stay at the hotel. I stayed at a nearby hotel that was it was a Hampton Inn, right next to the Woodfield Mall, which is a really nice area. It was just it was basic, but a very nice hotel. I think it was pretty new. So the Hampton Inn next to the Woodfield Mall is good. It's about I want to say maybe like an 8 to 10 minute drive tops. And I just paid for a Lyft, like the LYFT, like the other version of Uber, essentially. They're a little bit cheaper each time. So kind of saved on the headache of parking, but had to pay obviously more per ride. So you're talking, I didn't go back and forth. Once I was at the convention center, I stayed there because they've got plenty of lounges and nice places to just kind of decompress, depending on what your event is. So you're talking maybe another $20 per day, and it was much cheaper than the actual venue's room rate. I think I paid for my room was like $135, so plus the transportation fee essentially per day, you're talking $150. So you save about, I don't know, I want to say that the Renaissance Hotel was like $180. So you save a little bit. It's up to you on your convenience, but I thought it was plenty convenient. I wasn't ever like, oh, I gotta go back to my room. So that is an option if you want to be elsewhere than the hotel. Okay, so that's a basic overview of what to expect, what to bring, that kind of thing. This last segment is going to be the one specifically for women. And the reason I'm doing this is not to spark any kind of debate or sexism or any of that. This is because I know multiple women that don't even like going in their own local game stores due to negative experiences they've had in male interactions, essentially. I want to put those fears at rest in this case, because Adepticon, or my experience at Adepticon, was overwhelmingly positive when it came to navigating an like 99% male social event, essentially. I did not go in with any like, oh, it's going to be awkward, or I'm going to get hit on, or any. I didn't go in with any expectations, really. I had no idea what to expect. But I will tell you that the atmosphere in general is positively joyous. Like, everyone is so excited to be there and so excited for what they like and being able to just discuss what they like with people like them, that there was zero negativity or unwanted social interactions. I never felt uncomfortable. And that goes for like at the hotel bar. I as a married woman, I generally don't go to bars, but at the hotel, like, I had a chance to get a beer between events basically one evening, and obviously guys are drinking, and the most that happened was I had a great conversation about my favorite Necron dynasties with a Necron player who was sitting nearby. So yeah, there was none of that like tremendously painful, like, so what are you into? Are you watching the sports? You know sports? Like, none of that like weird like forced conversation. It was more of just like, hey, you're at Adepticon. I'm also at Adepticon. Are you enjoying Adepticon? What are you enjoying about it? I'm enjoying this about it. So less spastic than that. But it's honestly, if all social interactions went as well and as genuine as what I experienced at Adepticon, I would be much more of an extrovert. So if you are like hesitant as a woman on going to these almost entirely male events, don't be. Or at least Adepticon, from my experience, it was great. It's an older crowd there, not older like old, but you're not dealing with dudes in their like, late teens, early 20s as much. A lot of dads tend to be aware of when guys are making someone else's daughter uncomfortable. In my experience, they tend to shut that down pretty quick. So I never once felt uncomfortable or unsafe. And yes, this is entirely anecdotal, but I do want to share that was my overall experience. So I hope that helps. And I hope that helps everyone else get an idea of what to expect at Adepticon. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It was absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, basically, don't overload your schedule. Bring stuff that's portable and filling, and get there probably a day before the weekend so you can actually like walk around and enjoy things without being like smashed together in a crowd. So that's it. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you guys there next year. Take care.